Welcome everyone. I am going to take that out of my ear now that we are live, and welcome to today's show. Today the topic is the original YoloBox, which, if you've been paying attention, just received a nice big update to 5.0. But what that really means is it has received several like a scrollable list of updates that give it a lot of the more basic features. Now, do not think that the YoloBox or the original YoloBox is going to be given the same capabilities as the YoloBox Pro. That's not possible because it has an older processor. And the older processor is not as capable of as many very complex tasks as the Pro is. But let's see, an added tab for YoloCast events, option to add images as a video source. That's new. Audio follows video default setting is turned off. That matches the Mini and the Pro. Automatic page turning for PDF sources. That also works with the images as well. Lower thirds supports movement in all directions. This was a nice little feature that was added to the Pro and the Mini, now also available on the original YoloBox, and it really does make a much bigger difference than you might think. And so it's really nice to see that added. Local video play mode, the record icon was changed from that little camera icon to the record with the big dot that you can more easily see that you are recording. That is a welcome change. You can duplicate, lock, bring to front, and send to back graphic overlays. That is a huge feature if you're doing multiple things. And the login password supports special characters. I'll have to ask in the Facebook user group whether the YOLO Live account supports that, because I had a problem adding an exclamation point to it, so it didn't work. But that was months ago, and it's just been that way ever since. I'd love to add some special characters. And there's no limitation on the number of characters you can input for overlay names and scrolling captions, which means that the scrolling captions in the original YoloBox has been made to work the same as the Pro, and that is a big change because the way the scrolling caption, that little, wait, I have one here. The way the scrolling captions work in the original YoloBox was whatever fit on the screen would then be slid off and then moved across. So, you know, whatever font size you had would limit however many characters you had. They redid this for the Pro eons ago, and now this text is now like 3 times longer than the screen, and it just moves across. So this text up here, which doesn't have a shadow, so you kind of lose it in the brighter parts, it's really long, and that has been brought to the original YoloBox. So a lot of little features that make the original YoloBox much more flexible. You're not going to get remote guest. You're not going to get green screen. You're not going to get the features that take a lot of processing power. But if an existing feature can be adapted or shifted sideways and updated to a new feature, that is what we see in the original YoloBox. So the original YoloBox, despite being over 5 years old, has not been forgotten. And that is a great thing. So let me introduce myself. My name is Anthony Barocas. I am here on behalf of YOLO Live. I am an independent producer and an end user in Dallas, Texas. And I know this show is being viewed around the world. We've got people on YouTube. We've got people on Facebook. And I appreciate you all jumping in and letting me know where you are watching from, because I always find it very interesting that I could be here in my home studio here in Dallas, Texas, and be speaking to, last week it was Israel, 2 in Africa, Denmark, the UK, across the United States. We'll see if Miss Pineapples is back from Hawaii this week. And so let us go over to the comments since we're doing that. As always, this show is actually being run on a YoloBox Pro. And in order to show you the original YoloBox, I need to run it on something else. So the original YoloBox doesn't do green screen, so this is being done on the YoloBox Pro. Let's scroll back all the way up to the top, and as always, I say welcome everyone. I love finding where everyone is watching from. So if you haven't already jumped in and told me where you're watching from, just post a comment, whether it be on YouTube, Facebook, or wherever. It will come back to me and I'll be able to bring it up in the show. And always, what streaming questions do you have? As we said at the top of the show, we're going to be talking about the original YoloBox, but the show is not limited to the original YoloBox. This is a live show. If you have a question and I can answer it, I will. If I don't know the answer, I will see if I can figure it out. And if I don't know and can't figure it out, I will tell you. I'm not going to make something up. I'm just going to say, you know what? I don't know. And if you are watching on Facebook, know that we have a YOLO Live Tech channel on YouTube. You can like and subscribe to that. And this is where there is a host of information. Actually, let me tap over to there. And if you haven't been over there, there's a really good tech tips channel where you can find a lot of tech tips, and these just kind of go on and 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 on. So if you're new to the YoloBox and want to get up to speed, this is a really good channel to watch because it really gets you up to speed on what the YoloBox can do and how to do it very quickly. And if you are watching on YouTube and haven't been to the official YOLO Live user group on Facebook, this is where most people meet and discuss. There are other YOLO Live groups, but this is the official one, and this one has YOLO Live representatives in it asking questions of users. Where did you get your thing? Where did you get your YoloBox? This is one recently. They've asked for people to beta test the original YoloBox software update. So there's a give and take between end users and YOLO Live and the Facebook user group. There is also a YoloBox in Espanol group for native Spanish speaking, which is probably half the planet. It's a lot of people. And even though Facebook does do a really good job, or a pretty good job, translating in the official group, sometimes it's just easier to say it in your native language and get an answer in your native language rather than have to go through Facebook translations back and forth. And lastly, if you can't get solutions that way, there is the contact@yololive.com email where you can email them directly. So all that being said, let's go back to the comments. James Hamilton says, hello from San Antonio, Texas, the Alamo City. I have been down there many times. You're right down the road from DFW. Paris in the Philippines says, when I'm running a YouTube live stream and add a guest, I get visual and no audio. Do I need to use headphones, or is there a speaker in the YoloBox Pro for basic audio? There's no speaker in the YoloBox. I can answer that. When I'm running a YouTube live stream and add a guest, okay, those are like two different things. It doesn't matter where you're pushing the live stream. I'm guessing you mean add a guest in the YoloBox Pro. So that happens just in the YoloBox Pro. You don't even have to be streaming to add a guest in the YoloBox Pro. You do need to use headphones. The downside is, and this is an issue that is being worked on, or we're trying to figure out a way to ameliorate this, is that the reason I don't wear headphones when I'm doing the show is because the YoloBox has to sync up multiple cameras. Like I have this camera and I have this camera over here and this camera over here. And so I have two cameras coming in. And in order to be able to switch between them, the YoloBox has to take those signals, rip them apart, sync them together, and then put them, make them video. That takes a couple milliseconds, a few milliseconds. So the audio, which is going into the YoloBox, has to be delayed. So if you listen to it, you're listening to delayed audio. It's delayed enough that I can't speak and hear my own voice in my own ear delayed, because it's like a bad echo. That also happens if you're bringing in remote guests. You hear yourself. It's not an issue for the remote guests because they just hear program. They hear everything in time. and they don't they get mix minus, so they don't hear themselves through their own headphones. However, the producer on the YoloBox has the delayed feed, so there's an issue with that. Kirk Riley is in Dallas, Texas. Hey, cool to have another Dallas site. Hope you enjoyed the Independence Day fireworks last night. The web overlay scrolling text is very jittery. Is there an alternative source we can use? Well, there is the scrolling. You said, yeah, scrolling. The sideways scrolling text is built into the YoloBox Pro. Why it would be jittery coming from the YoloCast, I don't know. I have never tried scrolling text in the YoloCast, what do they call it? Overlays library or the overlay lab. I have not tried that, so I can't actually answer that question. You win for the first question that stumped me. To Paris in the Philippines, Paras in the Philippines. My setup is a Sony ZV-10 micro HDMI to full HDMI port on the YoloBox Pro. I'm using a Rode wireless direct into camera to send audio into HDMI. I use YoloBox Pro exclusively without a computer. Yep, that's what I do too. I have the ZV-1 as my main camera right here, and you can tell because when I put my hand up, it focuses, and when I move my hand out, it focuses right back. It's one of the things I really like about it. So if I hold up something like this, the remote, well, it's backwards, but why is there an echo on that? That's, oh, because it's keyed. It's taking the white as a green key. If I hold it up now, the other one's got a key on it too. Let's try that. Oh, interesting. That one does not have an echo, but it's still keyed. So a couple of the keys are going away because they're yellow and green. The one that's really gone is green. The other one is yellow, which includes green. And this, despite being a little yellow, I could fix that, I guess. This is the Verticam. This is YoloLive's vertical camera. And I'm using it on a YoloBox so that I can remotely zoom in and zoom out. I can pan and things like that. I can do a bunch of different things. I don't know why it froze there for a second, but whatever. I will, oh no, it's back. Oh, it moved too far. I don't know why. Oh, the camera actually reset itself. That's interesting. So it's pointing way too far to the side. It reset itself to 0. The camera, interesting. I played with it for an hour before the show, and now all of a sudden in the show, of course, it decides and resets. Johann Sebastian Joseph says, hello, Anthony. Hello, Johann. Lola Livestream Network says, hi, everyone. James Hamilton asks, can the Facebook app be installed? Got one button streaming without the setup process. Can the Facebook app be installed? Got one button. No, I'm thinking you're asking Facebook app for the YoloBox Pro. I don't know if you're asking about the InStream, which actually I think already has the Facebook app installed. The YoloBox Pro does not have any apps installed except for the YoloBox app. I mean, technically it is an app running on an Android tablet. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong camera. Sorry. It is the YoloBox app running on an Android tablet, but there's not a Facebook. The YoloBox works by using the API, which is a software that YouTube and Twitch and Facebook give to natively hook into Facebook. So you can have one button stream, which is what I do. I just hit the button and it streams. And that's the way that works. Paras in the Philippines is watching from Dubai, United Arab Emirates, but I'm a British YouTube streamer. Awesome. Good day to you. So what's the Philippines for? Jules says, greetings from New York City. Hello from Dallas. Saul says, hello from St. Louis Poste, Mexico. Ooh, probably just as hot there as it is here in DFW. Shane Tricia says, can you see what the new updates have in store? Last night we did a live stream and I noticed the notifications for the new updates, but hadn't got a chance to check them out as yet. As I mentioned, there's a bunch of little things, we'll go through them in a minute, that give you a little bit more granular control over things. Nothing dramatic. It's not like as I said, it's not like the original YoloBox, which doesn't even have a fan in it. is going to suddenly be able to do what the YoloBox Pro, which does has a fan because it's a much hotter processor, can do. Did you enable the audio in the audio settings on the HDMI port you are using? Oh, at Para. So that's for Para. So you guys are talking amongst yourselves. Any official cages available to mount the box to the camera with mic or light or mountings? Onion does. YC Onion has some, and I know Aaron Parecki also makes some. He 3D prints them, so they're sort of like stands. I don't know if I would trust 3D printed plastic for tripod mounting, with a little quarter 20 sticking up into the bottom, and then you get this thing that you're going to be tapping on and pounding on and hanging things off of. I would definitely go with the YC Onion metal cage. I know they have it for the Pro. I don't know if they have it for the original. I don't know which one you're asking about. Johann Sebastian says, I updated my YoloBox Pro 2 weeks ago. I keep having some drop frame even on 720p. I don't know if I have a strong connection, but lost a lot of frames. Yeah, drop frames. There's some people look at the image and they see a slight jitter and they say they're dropping frames. Technically, the YoloBox is doubling frames at times, and that is irrespective of that's separate than your streaming. When I'm streaming, like right now it says I'm streaming at 30 frames a second, I have 0 drops. So what that is telling me is from the YoloBox to the YoloLive server, all the frames that I've sent have made it. And that is separate from anything happening in the YoloBox. So that if I took a bunch of titles, like if I put this one on, and this one on, and this one, and this one, and then this one, then you'll see the frame rate drop because I'm asking it to do too much. And the statistics at the top of the YoloBox say I'm only doing 14 frames a second. But I still have 0 drop frames because all the frames that are being created on the YoloBox are making it to the server. Now, if I take off all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, if I take off all 5, you'll see the frame rate will dramatically improve. So there's a difference between doubled frames and dropped frames. Dropped frames only happen between the YoloBox and the server. Doubled frames or a reduced frame rate happens in the YoloBox, and that can happen regardless of your connection. You can have that happen even if you're doing recording, if you're asking too much of the processor. And each one of those graphic overlays is another thing being asked of the processor. Let's go back to the question. I know I don't have a strong connection, but it lost a lot of frames. So if it is indeed drop frames from you to the server and you dropped it to 720p, there's a video that I produced in the tech section, and it talks about there's a couple different things. You can drop the 720p, which only has a 2 megabit top streaming data rate. That should get you through most things, but again, as you said, if you know you don't have a good connection, what you can try to do is you could try to lower your data rate. You're still at 720p, but you can lower your data rate. And if that starts to affect your video quality, then you can lower your frame rate, go from 30 to 24. So that way you're spreading 2000 megabits across 24 frames as opposed to 30. So you're giving more to each frame. Again, I went into more detail in that video, so that's a good one to check out. And lastly, there is bonding available so that if you have an Ethernet connection or if you're using the built-in cellular, you could add a second cellular connection and use both of them to give you more data to put your signal through. I tried everything in every menu, still failed twice to get any audio without using headphones. Yeah, you have to use headphones. That's the only way you can monitor what's going on in the YoloBox. Okay, it's not the only way. video audio is coming out of the HDMI out. So if you ran the HDMI out into a monitor that has a headphone jack, you could hear it that way. Or if you ran the HDMI out to a TV and turn on the speakers, you would hear your own audio, again, with that delay. But then you also run the risk of having a feedback loop where the sound coming out goes back into the microphone, which then comes back out and goes to the microphone, and it just gets louder and louder and louder. That's really dangerous. Zach Steyen. Hi from South Africa. Hello to South Africa. Glad to have South Africa represented today. And Alan Winston says hello from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Let's see how we are doing on YouTube. Boop, 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 boop. Yeah, we're getting a good audience on YouTube. YoloBox Pro lag problem. 5G pack details. There's no 5G on the YoloBox Pro because that technology started to be deployed after the YoloBox was built. You can, however, get a 5G modem, like a 5G LTE stick, and plug it into the USB port and use that if you want. Lag, as I showed, could be processing within the YoloBox versus dropped frame, which is your connection to the internet. Two different things. Back in Blue says, we are in LA. Good to have LA represented. Can you add pictures on the screen with Yola Mini? Can you add pictures to the screen with the Yola? I'm guessing that's Mini. Yes, you can. Greetings from Johannesburg, South Africa. Two from South Africa today. Africa is always very well represented. I got to admit that. Shane Trisha Castillo asks, will there be an upgrade for the limit for adding guests? I believe right now the max is 4 guests. I believe it is 4, possibly 5, because you can send the invitation to yourself. I think I topped it out when there's 2 videos in that tech list that I showed before where I did stop at 5 remote guests. Will there be an upgrade to that? Probably not, because I think even when you've got 5 remote guests coming in addition to your cameras and possible green screen, you're asking a lot of an 8-inch Android tablet. If you have that many remote guests needs, or if your show is all remote, you might consider using something like StreamYard, which is a cloud tool which will allow you to bring in 12 remote guests. And then for your local production, you could use the YoloBox with your green screen and everything else and send that via the virtual webcam output into StreamYard and do the remote guests that way. And then also you will not have to worry about hearing your own voice when you're working with the remote guests. So it solves that problem too. Solves both problems. More guests, no echo audio. Yay. Koala 20 says, hello from Florida. Hello from Texas. Paris in the Philippines. Thank you for the explanation. You're welcome. Is YOLO planning to release any hardware updates? I don't know. There's not really a hardware update. You don't really update the hardware because the modem chip that's in there is the modem chip that's in there. They're not meant to be taken apart and the processor removed and upgraded. There's really no Android tablet that lets you upgrade the processor or RAM or anything like that. So there's not really any hardware updates. New hardware, it is YOLO Live planning on new hardware. Probably, but again, I am an end user in Dallas, Texas. I am not part of the engineering team. I'm not part of the marketing team or anything. So I have zero inside knowledge of what's coming next. I don't get any inside information. I wish I did. I wish I could push them in certain directions and have them do things, but I'm just an end user, but I help make content. Alan Winston says, we have a couple Canon C100s that I got the green block on with the YoloBox Pro. After reseating the HDMI cable 3 times, the green block went away. Any ideas what may cause this? Usually it's a cable issue, I find. Also, make sure you're outputting at a compatible resolution too. So if your settings on the YoloBox are 1080p24, don't send it at 1080p60 or i60. Just, you know, because the C100 is a amazingly flexible and powerful camera and a beautiful camera. So you can go in there and make sure that your output settings match the input settings or your program settings of the YoloBox as closely as possible, and that should help facilitate the least amount of reprocessing that has to happen. Night Vision says, "Can I use it on Facebook?" Yes. Can you again explain how to use a photo as a video input on the OG? Well, I haven't explained it yet because it's a brand new feature as of yesterday. Shane Trista Castillo says, "Thank you. You're welcome." Again, like I said, this is an open discussion. This is a question and answer show. We're talking about the YoloBox, but if you have a streaming question in general, this is open territory. You've got somebody here to answer your questions, and it's live. Okay, you're 20 seconds behind me, but it's still pretty live. Back in Blue says, "One thing I wish the YOLOs would do is shrink to fit the comments completely into the comment bubbles instead of counting them off, and then you have to read the rest of it from somewhere else." I'm reading it off the tablet. That would be kind of interesting. Except I don't know. I mean, you can't really change the size of the font in the comments, I don't think. Let me jump into that and check. No, you can adjust the size of it on the screen, but you can't adjust just the size of the text of the comments. And that could be where the change comes in. But then, you know, see this black square is sized to the thank you, and this, come on, and this black square is sized to 3 lines. Now, if we could adjust the size of the text, we know 3 lines is the max we could get, and we know it'll size down to 1 line. But if we could make the text smaller, then I could squeeze more text in there. And then because there's an overall size adjustment, I can make the text smaller, but make the whole thing bigger. That could be a good workaround. So that is a good feature request for the Facebook group. And with that, I believe I have reached the end of the question and answers. So let us dive into the YoloBox Pro, or the YoloBox Mini, or I will get it right, into the original YoloBox, which I have right here. As you can see, this is the original YoloBox. It has 2 HDMI inputs, 1, 2. It has a USB input, HDMI out, and the HDMI out is going into my switcher over here, so I can show you. Here's the output of my OG. And this is Ethernet in, audio in. It doesn't have separate line and mic. I believe this is just line level audio input to the original YoloBox. It has a single USB-C, which is just for power. So if you wanted to bring in graphics or record to media, that's going to have to be on this USB-A port over here. And then I have added these feet. I did a video on this. These are little feet that I stay with it and allow me to have a nice tilt. On the bottom, you have the SIM card over here on the left. Your headphone out is on the bottom, which I actually find really nice because that's closer to me and it's not confused on the Pro, which has 3 ports in a row. And then sometimes I end up putting the headphone in the wrong thing. Your media card and your power button, and that's it. There's no fan. There's no fan on this thing. It's just sort of like convection cools, I guess. So let me pull these feet out and put this back down here. And this, for comparison, I have a Pro right here. You can see here's the Pro. I'd almost have to zoom out on the camera, but that's a big to do. You can see it is considerably smaller than the Pro. And even sideways, the Pro is thicker. It has these openings for the cooling of the bigger processor. So the Pro is much more. And you can see up here, it's got the 3 ports, and I had to label this one headphone so that when I'm reaching over the top and it's dark, I can't see black on gray. It's just not there. But you can see the additional HDMI on the Pro, the additional USB-C, the mic and line inputs, and the separate headphone, which is not on the bottom. And the Pro also has the SIM card over here on the right and nothing over here on the left. So that's the key differences. So if anyone was like, which one do I have? How many HDMI ports is like the easiest way to find out, or just the fact that this has no venting on here. There's a little bit of opening, but there's no fan on this. We were asked, can you explain again how to use photos as a video input on the OG? Sure. You click inputs, and then right there it says images or PDFs. I checked, my SD card doesn't have any PDFs. I apologize, I have nothing to bring in. I searched around for a widescreen version, and every PDF I have is a vertical, like a manual for something. So none of those would really make for good video. But images, you can do that. So what I've got here is I've got some images here, and I got a weird reflection. There's me. Actually, let me lay this flat. Maybe that'll help. That helps. So this is actually animated GIFs. You can see they're moving. And this is my camera that I'm talking to you on, also being fed into the original, the OG, as an input. And you can see this is my green screen that's behind me that you don't see in the Pro because I'm keying it out. In the original, you don't have a green screen. So if you press and hold here, you have one choice, delete, which I don't want to do. So images, what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this. Boop, it's gone. Oh, interesting. It deleted the one image. So you can see I've got 3 different images here, and it's auto switching for 10 seconds, and each of these are animated GIFs. So I'm going to cancel this. Do I want to delete this? Yes. Now it's gone. And of course, I had a picture-in-picture that was using that as a background, and that's gone. And it automatically switched to my news layout, which has the video, local video 1, and me, and a background. And because the video came up on the screen, it automatically played. So to add still images, you click on that, you click on images, it shows you your thing, and you can be like, I want this, and this, and this, and this, done. And then there they are. It's a source just like anything else that I can have a picture-in-picture over top of. So this is the picture-in-picture with the circle. You can see at the bottom, I have the same interface that you would have for your PDF, so you can manually go through these different items. You can jump back to the beginning, first one. You can jump to the last one. 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go to direct so you can see it a little clearer. 4. I'm a 1 of 4, 2 of 4, 3 of 4, 4 of 4. I can jump back to the beginning, 1. And then if I touch that little icon right there, you can see here's my images. I can jump to any image, and you can see it changing back there on my output. So I can jump to any of these images in any order and turn on auto switch, and then a touch on the time, and then adjust the time. I have it set to 10 seconds. You can have it set to 59 minutes. So every hour, it's going to change to the next image. I'm not going to wait that long. 10 seconds is enough. Done. And as I said, these you can turn off auto switch, and these can be animated GIFs because a GIF is an image. And the fact that it's an animated GIF is actually parsed correctly, and it will play in a loop for those 10 seconds and then switch to the next one. So that is really cool. I love that it handles animated GIFs. Done. And that is how you bring that in. And PDFs work pretty much the exact same way. As I said, I don't have a PDF to test it, but the PDFs, the way they work on the Pro is they come in, you have the little icons to go left and right. that you have right down here. And now you get that window so you can go to any slide you want in any order. You can go back 4 slides to show something, go back, jump forward. You can also set it to autoplay. So if you just want to have an event, but before the event, you want to go through 5 sponsor slides on a loop, boom, you got a PDF to do that. Have fun. Just like this one is just auto playing through these slides now. And if I wasn't on top of it, this would basically be your pre-show with 4 different PowerPoints, not PowerPoints, PDF images. And make sure they're widescreen and not tall. Some of the other updates, let me just get that list back out again. All right. A new tab was added for YoloCast events, and you're going to have to look at it here. Let's go done. All this is going to go away. So now you got standard events and you got YoloCast events. So this is able to access all of the YoloCast events that I've created, and I'm able to start a YoloCast event from here. So I hit plus, and it's creating the event. And then of course you also have the ASP, which is the redundant storage both on the device and remotely, so that if your internet bottoms out for a couple of seconds, the viewers are not going to see that. So that is built into YoloCast. Next one up, option to add images as video source. I showed that. Audio follows video is turned off. That is a feature that people have asked for. It was brought to the Pro and the Mini, and now available here. You can see it doesn't save your monitor mode settings. Maybe that could be updated in the future. It saved my titles, but it didn't save my inputs. But here you see it does not have audio follows video set to on. So once I select my HDMI as my audio source, I don't have to worry about adding anything else. It's always going to stay there where I put it. Whereas many times on the Pro, when I've done a show, I would open a new show, I'd see my audio right there on camera 1, and then I go to switch the overhead camera, and then there's no audio, and the people watching the show are going, I don't hear you. So that is now off, saving everyone from that. Automatic page turning for a PDF source, we talked about that. Lower thirds support movement in all directions. Yes, that is a big feature. So whereas before, the titles can go anywhere now. Yay! And what that means is, look, see, here's your layers. Here is your bring it to the front, send it to the background. You can duplicate, which is a fantastic feature, so that if I wanted another one of the same color, in the same size, in the same place, I say duplicate, boop, I got another one. I don't have to recreate it from scratch. Let's go into this one. We're going to write, and what this means is I can move it anywhere. Whereas before they were sort of stuck to the left and you can go up and down. Now I can put it over here. I can put it right over my face. And you still have all of the settings over here, including scale everything really, really big. Titles go anywhere. Yay! And then, of course, the auto hide is also in here as well. So after 7 seconds, 10 seconds, it'll fade out. So there it goes. Done. And you can see it says 1. I'm going to bring that up. Titles go anywhere. Turn this one off. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then without touching it, the title goes away. So that is a handy feature. I use that, in the Pro all the time, being able to like call up a comment, and then I don't have to remember to turn the comment off. It's set to automatically fade out after so many seconds. Let us keep going. Local video play mode. So if you're adding a video, you have 2 videos you can add. Let us open this up. We will open the snowfall. Done. So now you can see the time right here, but if you go into your settings, now look, I have clicked the switch, so I'm only tapping once. You can have it set to tap twice. Your local video, continue playing when switching, so I can switch away, it'll keep playing, and then I come back to it. I can have it resume the first frame and pause, so that I can, actually this is a bad video to demonstrate that with. Done. Let me bring up my video, my countdown timer. Done. So when I bring this up, it's now going to count down. So this is a 15-minute countdown for pre-show that I would use before the YoloBox had a built-in countdown timer. And then if I go back to me, it goes back to 15 and pauses and waits for me. Or you can have it pause when switching, so that if I go to this thing and I say, hey, you can see this play that's happening right here, and then I want to talk about it, and I talk a little bit, it's paused. You can see it's paused right here, but it's didn't jump back to the beginning. So you get to choose what it does. And then I come back to it and we can continue on, and I'm still talking because my audio is still on top. Yay. And then go back to here, and then when I switch away, it goes back to 15. And there's one more setting, the local video play mode. You can have it loop or stop at the last frame. So if I have a countdown timer, I don't want it to loop back to 15 again. I want it to go to the end and then just stop. I don't want it to loop. Or you may have, just like the snowfall background. If I'm using that as a background on my Pro, I do want it to loop because it's only like a minute long, but I don't want it to just like stop. I don't want the snow to just suddenly stop in midair. I want it to loop. So you have the, don't leave this. You have a lot of new video setting features in here. The rec icon was optimized. You can see it now has a much bigger, so if I hit record, like that, yes, start recording. It's nice and big. You can see it blinking. You've got the recording counter up there. So this has all been redone. It used to be like a little video camera with a teeny, super teeny red dot. Now it's much easier to see that it is recording, and the recording, the time indicator has been put up to the top. So that's very handy. Done. I always say, wait. And then when it's done, it'll say it's saved. You can duplicate, lock, bring to front, send the back graphic overlay. So yes, that is what I had mentioned before. So if I wanted to have this one and this one, which one's in front? Right now, this one is in front. Actually, this one's going to go away. So let me use one that's not going to go away. So that's in front. But I can come over here and say, send this to the background. I can push this on here and say, bring it to the foreground. You can choose layers now on the original YoloBox. Couldn't do that before. Login password supports special characters. That's not really something I can demonstrate here. And no limitation on the number of characters you can input for overlay names and scrolling captions. So overlay names, what that means is if I had a bunch of titles like this and the text is too tiny to read, you can enter a name and say TITLE 1. Done. Now you can see it says title 1. This is easy to read, much more so than that. And if you have a bunch of titles over here, you can label them all, and it makes it easy. And the scrolling captions. So let's go in here. We'll do I think it's this one. Scrolling text. We're going to give this a try. Haven't tested this yet. We're going to test it live on the show. The overlay name. I'm not going to give it a name. Enter my text. This is the new overlay, can't spell, text on the original so this is what would normally be before the update. It would have to fit on the screen, and that's all you could put on there. So now I'm adding more text than can fit on the screen. YoloBox that can fit on the whatever screen than ever BEFORE before. Done. Do it. Take this one off. So now it's scrolling that text, and whereas before this was all the text we could fit on the screen, you can now see, oh, nope. Scrolling captions. No limitations on other characters you can input for scrolling captions. That is not working like I think they think it should. Like I think it should. If I input more characters on the Pro, all those characters are, eventually appear. So I think this might be a bug. Let's let's feed this back to YOLO Live and let them know that I expect to see more characters than that, especially if you're telling me that I can add more characters that fit on the screen than ever before. I want to see more characters than ever before. So we will feed that back up the chain and let them know that it's not working the way I would think it would work if you say unlimited characters. So that is a quick walkthrough of the new updates on the original YoloBox. I think we found a bug doing that. And we will see if there's any new questions. Christian says hello from Sarasota. I know Christian. How you doing? Thanks for joining us. Hi, I need one to buy. That's good. Depends on where you're at. And I don't see any additional comments or questions on here. So if you have a streaming question, let me know. One thing people have asked me is like the camera, which I have over here. Let's go back over to this thing. Why would you use the Verticam on the YoloBox? Now I have it mounted sideways, obviously, otherwise I wouldn't be able to fit in here. Tilt up. No, that's down. Well, first of all, you can remotely position it like that. Whoop, that's too low. Nope. I should just hold the remote so that it properly reflects what I'm trying to do, and then zoom in, zoom in, zoom in. This way? Yep. Zoom in. And then I could sit here and say, where's my store? Do I have a store button? I'm just going to press and hold one. I'm going to say, assume. Whoa, okay. I guess that was one. Do I have a two? There's a two. You could the reason you would use a PTZ camera is because you can have multiple presets. You don't need to necessarily have a camera operator, but once you store them in here, I guess I have to hit the preset button. Reading the manual would be a good idea. There we go, there we go, there we go. And the other thing that is really handy in this that I have found is you go into the menu, which now appears on the screen, and it's not that one. Oh, it's an image. No matter how I have it set up, I can mount it this way, I can mount it this way, I can mount it upside down, whichever. You can flip it. I don't have to like reverse the screen. So like my shirt says YOLO Live, it actually says YOLO Live backwards because I have a flip going on. Ooh, it crashed again. I wonder why it's doing that. Boop, 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 boop. Go back to my main camera. I don't know if it's the input or if it's the camera itself. And now it's back. Very interesting. It's just this one source. So I'm thinking it's the camera only because everything else remains live on the Pro. But if I press this, I can go that way, I can go that way. If we come down, I can go this way, I can go this way. So this way you can make things work for whatever you need. It flips in all directions. And that I find very handy. You can see that for whatever reason, my color is very off. Oh, let's go down here to image style. I don't know. Maybe I liked default better. And now that I hit that, it's all messed up. So we can come up to color. You can affect the color and you can affect exposure. You can tell that I'm crushed. It's too bright. It's also on auto, it appears. Let's go into exposure. Yeah, it's on auto. I don't know why it went to auto. Probably when it reset. So we will manual. I had it set the manual. I had this at 2. There we go, getting better. I had this at 5. Oh, that's where my yellow's coming from. Interesting. Let's go back into that. And again, if you have any questions with regards to streaming, YoloBox, or whichever, I see them coming in on the reduce the of the text, the size of the text. I don't know what you were saying. Let us turn this down because that made for more yellow, I think. No, it didn't really. It just exacerbated what was already there. Let's go down to color. So you can see you have a lot of capability. Oh, froze again. And the menu's done. Menu's frozen too. So yeah, that is a camera issue. Maybe it doesn't like being set up sideways. And this is why I have my ZV-1. Has not failed me yet. Can we keep upside down Anthony? No, not a good idea. Hey, Anthony, watching you here in Rochester, New York. Thank you. Nardi Andy says, I'm in Ghana. So definitely, once again, a worldwide audience. I appreciate you all being here. Got a little slow there once we got done the demonstration of the original YoloBox updates. And again, because this is a viewer-driven show, you have questions and comments. They come onto the show. They drive the discussion. With the latest update on the original YoloBox, has anyone had issues with adding a background to 2 inputs, except one HDMI and the other video input? The background sometimes shows up, as times it shows a black background. I didn't see a way to add a video input as the background, except as a picture-in-picture. One HDMI and the other a video input. The background sometimes shows up. So it's not, you're not going to be able to key it. It doesn't do a key. If you're doing a picture-in-picture, let's try that right now. Let's go back over here. If you're doing a picture-in-picture, let's do a side-by-side. Let's do news layout. I only got 2 things going on. So we got me, next, this thing, next, plus... Oh, video. Okay, you can do videos. I think this would be kind of pressing my luck, really, with the original YoloBox to do 2 video clips. A video clip in the foreground and a video clip on the background. And we say done, and we bring that up. It should play both of those video clips. It's not. It's not playing this one. It doesn't recognize the video clip in the foreground. At least it doesn't recognize it on that side. I wonder if I can change that one first, then that one, next. And then we still get that as the background. We say done. And then we go away. Let's come back. Okay, now it recognizes. So I'm actually playing 2 video clips at the same time, as well as the video in a box. And you're saying sometimes it forgets that there's a video background. Again, I'm only testing it just right now for the first time, trying to stress test it. I wouldn't necessarily try to do 2 video clips from the SD card at the same time, especially if you're going to record, because then you've got 3 read-write operations on the SD card going at the same time. Reading 2 things and writing something else. That would be a lot to really ask of the SD card, or to ask of the original YoloBox. Reduce the size scale of the text to fit the screen. Yes, I guess you're talking about the scroll. Let's go back to here. I guess you're talking about the scrollable text, reduce the size of the text to fit the screen. Well, that's what we had to do before. And given that this was updated to include unlimited text, the assumption that I had is that I wouldn't have to reduce the size of the text to fit on the screen, because then if I have a lot of text, it gets really, really, really tiny. And yeah, you can move it. So I can put it down here, have a lower scrolling text, but that is really tiny. I don't want to have it, you could have a scrolling type, repeated scrolling, right? Auto hide. Well, if you're repeating it, you don't want it to auto hide. Scrolling speed, scale. You want more of that text to fit on the screen, so that if I go over and I fit, there we go. I'm going to go to there, say done, and then I'm going to have it scroll and see if it stops again where it says CW. But that, I think, is the fact that it had to fit on the screen before you started the scroll. Yeah, this is exactly how it used to work before the update. And I'm not seeing any additional text. There's no point to saying it has unlimited text if it can't be showed on the screen. So that does not seem to be updating, cancel, any differently. I don't know if I'm thinking of a different title that would need unlimited text. Countdown timer, no. Social overlays, no. Image overlays, no. These are all titled. This is the only one where you would want unlimited text. Everything else, you actually want it to all fit on the screen. You don't need unlimited text. So I'm sort of at a loss. That's what where I would expect it to come into play, but it's not happening that way. Well, that is a quick look at the original YoloBox software updates. Maybe there might be another little update after this one to fix the scrolling text, unlimited text issue. And unless people have more questions to ask in today's live show, I'm going to wrap this up pretty quick. So let me scroll back down again. Yeah, that was it. So I appreciate you all being here. We have made it for a whole hour, and I always appreciate you being here. Next week, we're going to have another great show for you. So, set your calendar now, every Wednesday at this time, the YOLO Live Tech Talk Wednesdays, or as the YOLO Live staff likes to call it, Ask Anthony Anything question and answer show, will be back on the air. So I thank you all for being here. I appreciate you joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you all next week.